Mr. Medavog, what do you think about Project Runway so far?
Well, overall, I think that the entire show has been very unprecedented with the designs. I think that a lot of the designers, quote unquote, if you want to call them designers, I think that the only designers on the show since episode 1 were always Joe. It is unfortunate that Joe is gone and that Suede is still on the show, and that I will never be able to comprehend.
What would be the top 3 designers for this season there?
Well, I definitely think that Leanne Marshall is going to be winning the $100,000. Next to her is probably going to be Gerald, and then Corto.
I think Kota has a lot of potential. Don't pull her out of the choices, of course. But didn't you think like Leanne is very linear and architectural and very predictable?
The thing that Leanne has something that most of American designers don't have, and it's called style. Either you're born with it or you're not. And I think that a lot of the designers that they shows in the show have basically come out into the world, live on TV, they've chosen their path, and their path was not Project Brian Parks. So I think that Leanne has something that no other designer has. She has a gift, and therefore she must win Project Runway, because other than that, I won't believe on the show anymore, and I'm not going to go to Lifetime TV and watch the show for season 6, because that is a woman's channel.
Don't you think this would be a very strong statement? After all, do you compare Leanne as some sort of Frank Lloyd Wright, a very predictable, rather than being diverse and creative? After all, fashion is about being innovation.
After all, I think that either, like I said, you're born with style or you're not. And so it is not about Leanne, it is not about her aesthetics, it is not, well, it is exactly what Christian Siriano did. American fashions, even in the 1970s, were never appreciated in the world of fashion. In Paris, they laugh at American fashions. So, to have Leanne win the show, like Christian Siriano, means a lot to the American public, because at least they are going to be more respected. Do you think that they're going to give the award to Suede? Think about it. Would you like to represent Suede at any fashion show, representing Americans as designers? That is like saying the fall of France in 1939 when Chanel closed her salon. It is a definite failure. I just think that Leanne has something that nobody else has. She will win the show. And thanks for stopping by.
That's a very strong statement, Mr. Medavog. After all, I think you're playing the favoritism card. After all, dear. So, do you think Leanne is a lesbian?
No, she's not a lesbian. Of course not.
She likes rigid, linear lines, verticals and V's, of course. Do you think she's a lesbian?
If lesbians are considered a type of an architect, then she is not a lesbian, because her clothes are not architectural. It's all about innovation and design. And I believe that when Frank Lloyd Wright was making those buildings in the turn of the century, is it still rolling?
Yes.
I believe that when Frank Lloyd Wright made those buildings in the turn of the century, and I'm saying the 1900s, that the people thought that he was crazy. Who's going to live in those homes? Well, guess what? 60 years later, in the 60s, everybody was looking towards Frank Lloyd Wright.